the session this morning I think went really well. We had some lively discussion and debate, which I think you always get when you discuss leadership. It's a very personal thing. What we did find though, when we do these sorts of seminars and discussions, is that whilst people come from very different sectors and very different experiences, the leadership challenges that project managers face are pretty generic. Well, there are numerous challenges that project managers have to face. I suppose in the first instance, what we're really looking at is deciding on the accountability and responsibilities within the project. This is particularly true between the executive and the project manager. If these lines aren't drawn up properly, then there's a very real risk within the project that confusion will happen, and neither will know when they're to take the lead and at which point they're supporting the other. Well, many project managers will actually say that they don't do leadership. They see themselves as managers, as people whose job it is to control and to cajole people into doing work, but they don't see themselves taking the lead. They see that as being for the executive. However, that's a misnomer, as leadership can come from the top, obviously, but it also comes from the middle and you know, occasionally from quite near the bottom. So there are leadership skills that they need. At the very basics, they need to be able to communicate effectively and motivate people. We've got to remember that many people come into project management not through line management. In other words, managing a project, sometimes the first time they actually get involved in tasking people and being able to provide that leadership. Therefore, if they've come from a background that has been perhaps mostly mechanical or engineering or technical, this can come as a bit of a shock when they have to face the problem of how to motivate people, particularly as you're dealing with a matrix type organisation where people come from very different fields or from across the organisation and they don't actually have line management responsibility. They need to decide what kind of skills they need, and you can't just major on one particular way of doing it or one particular set of skills. So what we try and promote is this idea of having a golf bag of clubs that you can play, whether it be that coercive style where you're demanding, whether you're pace setting, where you're leading the way and demonstrating, but you can't do those indefinitely without doing something that is more affiliative, so that you're healing the wounds that you cause when sometimes you have to push. So a balance has to be struck. Many project managers will look to others for visionary leadership, but there are occasions, particularly at the beginning of a project, when having some vision becomes important, and communicating that vision falls to everybody within the project, including the project manager. So there are many soft skills as well as the more hard skills that are required. Well, in the first instance, managers and leaders have to take responsibility for their own training, for their own development. Self-awareness is part of this. So the best teacher that any leader has is themselves, because you must be your own teacher. However, you can learn from others, clearly, and I think those of us that have been well led understand leadership better. I shan't really recommend a book because the bookshelves of any business section are full of books on leadership. And all of them have a story to tell, but of course leadership is an intensely personal thing. You have to take some of these lessons on board and apply them in a way that works for you, in your sector, in your organisation, and works best with your personality. Of course, learning with other leaders, attending sessions, whether it's developing those communication and interpersonal skills, or whether it's coming to, well, dare I say it, events like this, where you get to meet other people with the similar kind of challenges and you can then learn from each other. But I think the day the leader stops learning is the day the leader's struggling to lead. I think in the first instance, people will always struggle to lead if their own professional competence and skills are not up to date. So the first port of call is the accredited training we offer in project and programme management and associated subjects like management of risk. Because if you're competent those core skills, then of course that increases your confidence and makes you a more able leader. But when we look at the purely interpersonal side, yes, we do run soft skills training where we can develop people. We also offer services like consultancy, helping to promote leadership within an organisation, and we also offer the services of one-to-one mentoring and coaching. I don't think we also should lose sight of the fact that all of our accredited courses are led by very experienced project and programme managers. And even on the day-to-day courses, we have leadership tips and skills to be passed on. It's a flexible approach because every leader is different, but it's all part of our commitment to not just offer best practice advice and best practice training, but also to the organisations to lever the very best advantage out of them.